Let's be honest, Lana Del Rey does not just sing songs, she builds worlds. Worlds full of roses, rage, cigarettes, and glamour laced with grief. And somehow she is just a reach away. Like a dream you wake up and you almost remember all the details of it. After looking at her birth chart, it is a gothic novel. Mysterious, seductive, and devotional is how I would describe it. It is also a bit devastating in a way, which makes her music so good. She's a Cancer Sun, Scorpio Rising, Leo Moon, Venus conjunct her North Node in Taurus. This is not a chart that is built for fast success. This is a chart built for slow, steady success over time, and honestly, a person who can put people under a spell. By the way, the chart that I'm analyzing for her is based off of the birth time and birth date she gave us on Twitter. You don't follow Lana's career like a pop star. You witness it like a cult classic because her path to fame was never meant to be linear. It wasn't meant to be overnight. Her chart is deeply layered with many fated placements. And once you understand her chart, this fateful rise to success will all make sense and why she looks so magnetic while she does it. Why her sadness feels so curated. Why her fans are devoted to her, not just impressed by her. It all comes from branding herself based off her chart, whether she knows it or not. For example, her Venus in Taurus is not just about beauty. It is about devotional beauty, slow and timeless, the kind of charm that does not chase attention. It drowns in it. She's not one to flirt. She hypnotizes. Her visuals, her voice, even down to the pauses in her music, they all drip with this Venusian richness. But it is also opposed by her Scorpio rising, which creates this tension. And let me know if you have a Scorpio rising or you have a Venus in Taurus, or better yet, you have both. There's always something she's withholding. She makes it seem like she's sharing her wounds in 4K, but she never lets us touch them. She never lets us truly understand what wound she's feeling. And that is why we're obsessed. It's the ache that keeps pulling us back. Lana has a deeply rich, layered chart. And if you take anything away from this video, I want you to take away the fact that you have your own birth chart with its own magnetism, your own soul's purpose. And we can go just as deep into your chart as I'm going into Lana's, and you can even tell from your chart what you're destined for, if you're meant to be famous, what career you're meant to do, how to glow up in your own energy, how to dress for your own energy, and so much more. So many of you have already booked glow up readings since they launched just a few months ago, and I'm so excited because every single time you guys get back to me and you tell me that the reading made you feel like you're closer to yourself. It makes you feel like you didn't learn something new, you relearned something you always knew about yourself, but you were afraid to put into practice. And then you guys literally send me pictures of you dressing up with the styles based off of your chart. I'm so thankful for all of you. If you guys haven't already gotten a glow up reading, you can book one linked in the description. And now let's analyze Lana's chart. So if you don't know Lana Del Rey already, let's get a little bit of a background to make her astrology make sense. On paper, she might appear as every other famous, iconic pop star, right? Viral hit, cult following, Grammy nominations, global fame. But if you've been paying attention, like really paying attention, you know that her rise was not about shock value. It was about atmosphere, intention, and energy. She didn't really burst onto the scene of music. She kind of showed up in a slow burn type of fashion. And that is the magic of her Scorpio rising. This placement doesn't need to shout to be seen. A Scorpio rising pulls you into their frequency quietly, seductively, and with precision. But let's rewind a little bit, because before video games, before flower crowns and Americana tragedy, she was Lizzy Grant, an aspiring artist with a Cancer sun and dreams that felt very tender for the world. Cancer suns feel everything, but Lana, she learned to turn that feeling into framing. That's what made her different. She didn't just share her sadness, she stylized it, packaged it, and romanticized it, because Cancer is the sign of nostalgia, home, memory, comfort, nurturance. So she made every song feel like a memory you didn't know you had. Then came the transformation. So she went from Lizzy to Lana. She changed her name, and I feel like this is the point in her career where she really activated that Leo midheaven. She wasn't just feeling things, she was performing what she felt. And the industry, quite frankly, did not know what to do with her. She wasn't commercial, she wasn't edgy, she was something else entirely. Too soft for the traditional pop music, too glamorous for indie. She didn't really fit a category. And slowly over time, she carved out her own lane. Not by conforming, but by doubling down on what she was good at. That melancholy type of magic, that etherealness. Her early critics called her inauthentic, but that is because they didn't understand the Scorpio rising to her. Scorpio doesn't show its true self. Scorpio risings guard who they are deep down, and they create personas in order to survive in the world. And Lana created this persona, right, from Lizzy to Lana, and it wasn't fake. It was an altered version of what she was feeling inside. Her voice is this dreamy, distant, dripped in sadness sort of feel, and that became the vessel for her art. When you peel back her chart, it's like she resurrected that sacred feeling that we have to long for something. So now let's zero in on her Cancer sun, because sun signs do matter. In astrology, they show us what we're known for. So her Cancer sun is like this emotional heartbeat of her chart. It is the source of that gift she's known for, the ability to turn pain into poetry. Because Cancer doesn't just remember, it remembers the feeling tied to the nostalgia. Cancer has the gift and the curse of looping old memories like film, replaying them until the nostalgia itself feels more aesthetic than the truth of what actually happened. And Lana, she must have lived in that loop because her music is drenched in past tense. Every lyric feels like a love letter to a moment that has already died. That is the Cancer energy. It doesn't move on, it romanticizes, it clings, not because it's weak, but because it wants to honor what was once real. The energy gets even deeper because her Cancer sun sits at 0 degrees in her chart. This is what astrologers would call a critical degree. It is pure, it is raw, it is unfiltered, the most elemental expression of Cancer's emotional intelligence. So when people say it's inauthentic, the truth is, when Lana sings about being soft, ruined, divine, she means it. This is part of her identity. She was truly born to emote, wearing that heartbreak like a designer coat, crying behind the eyeliner as a form of protection, using beauty in order to protect from the pain. Cancer suns don't so much seek attention, they want intimacy with someone. And when that intimacy is broken or it's never offered, they turn inward to give it to themselves. And it's more than just her Cancer sun because her Mercury and her Mars are both in Cancer. It's like a triple threat of emotional depth. This is what allows her to not just feel the things she's gone through, but translate it into words and help other people feel it as well. Cancer Mars fights through silence. It retreats and then it releases. And when it finally speaks about what happened, it uses vulnerability as its weapon. And Mercury in Cancer, so this is her voice, her tone, how she speaks, how she thinks. The way that she strings together those metaphors. It's why her lyrics feel like memories you've never lived, but you swear you can connect to, you can feel it. Pluto brings death, obsession, rebirth, power. Lana's softness has weight. The gentleness has teeth. And then there's this opposition to Neptune, which is what gives her that hazy cinematic aura. The sun is traditionally ruled by Leo, right? And Leo thrives in the spotlight. Cancer thrives in the dark because it's connected to the moon. It's like her Cancer sun doesn't want to be famous, it wants to be understood by people. And when that's not possible, it will settle for being beautifully misunderstood. Now let's dive into the rising sign, which is the first impression, the aura, the energy she has before she even says a word. It's how we perceive her without knowing her that well. Lana Del Rey's rising sign is like the music in the song before the lyrics enter. Think about it as the frequency of her presence. It's slow, controlled, and almost feels haunting the way she enters the room. With every song, with every scene, she's not trying to impress you. Scorpio is fixed water, so it's very still on the surface, but underneath all of that water, it's bottomless. There's a depth to it. And it doesn't show its depth. It conceals it, protects it, contains. And when it expresses itself, it's not impulsive, it's very surgical. Lana's entire personality is built on that restraint, that quiet edge. That sense that she knows something and you don't, and you never will. Her mystique is not manufactured. It is built into her bones, and that's the natural effect of having the most emotionally armored rising sign in the entire zodiac. Scorpio risings, aka ascendants, do not trust easily. They are also like human lie detectors. They have X-ray vision. They can feel and sense when something is fake. And in Lana's case, her rising sign is backed up by Pluto and Saturn. Saturn in her first house shows a very intense journey of having to grow up fast and almost become her own authority figure in life. This is a woman who has learned how to weaponize privacy and to turn silence into seduction. Pluto gives her power and Saturn gives her control. Some examples of this are if you go and listen to Dark Paradise or Gods and Monsters. And if you notice the intentional silences in these songs and the way she drags out the syllables, and then when we look at her visual for Ride, we can see some of the fashion elements of the Scorpio energy. The leather jacket, the messy curls, the woman alone at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. Or even if we look at Born to Die, where she stands in a cathedral of roses and death. It's regal with the Leo midheaven, and it's also ruined with the Scorpio rising. She doesn't overshare and she doesn't connect in the traditional celebrity sense. She's kind of guarded. And the world really responds to her by almost projecting, because Scorpio risings, like any water rising sign, especially Scorpio and Pisces risings, have this mirror effect on people where it's easy for others to project fantasies, beliefs, and ideas onto the person. And because of that, whatever people are projecting onto her, she can absorb and she can reflect it back or distort it. It creates this air of mystery. And then there's Saturn in her first house. So Lana comes across not feeling very youthful. It's almost like she's lived 100 lives. This also explains her fearlessness in dealing with controversial themes. Death, fame, power, abuse, desire. Saturn and Pluto on her ascendant, she does not shy away from darkness. She studies it and she even sources from it. That makes her art almost unspeakable, and others can't replicate that because they're not able to go to the depth she is. We can see this intensity in her aesthetic too. She leans into the vintage glamour, the mournful Americana, like that veiled funeral look in the song Ultraviolence. These aren't just outfits, they are energetic signatures. If you guys don't know already, the Venus plus rising sign combo is the absolute key to dressing, doing makeup and hair based off of your natural energy and being the most magnetic and alluring, attractive version of yourself. Through all of these celebrity charts I have analyzed, there's a common theme. The most successful celebrities dressed for their rising and Venus combined. And this is what I teach in all of my glow up readings. And if you guys want your entire chart analyzed and in the exact style, hair, beauty blueprint for your chart and so much more, you can book a glow up reading linked below. And if you don't believe this works, don't take my word for it. Look at all of the testimonials. And so now we understand the intensity, the mysteriousness that Scorpio rising brings. But now let's segue into her Venus sign, the Taurus Venus, which is exactly opposite Scorpio on the zodiac wheel. If Scorpio rising gives Lana her mystique, then her Venus in Taurus is what makes her irresistible. This placement is the essence of slow seduction. It's sensual, it's indulgent, it's luxurious, and it's rooted in this earthy femininity. Think of the Queen of Pentacles in the tarot deck. It doesn't ask to be adored. When it's in its highest elevation, it believes in itself. It knows that it's worthy and people simply gravitate towards it. Venus in Taurus, something to note, this placement is timeless. It values pleasure, softness, and it likes to go at a pace that refuses to rush. And Lana, she lives at that pace. Her entire aesthetic is a mood board of these velvet vocals, slow motion heartbreak. She doesn't chase attention. She makes music that is timeless and people keep coming back to it. For example, she recently blew up on TikTok once again, not for her newer stuff, but for the older music she put out. If you listen to Young and Beautiful, or Cinnamon Girl, or Let Me Love You Like a Woman, these aren't just love songs, these are invitations. She's not begging. Venus in Taurus does not need to over-explain. It magnetizes by simply existing in its own rhythm, going at its own pace. And her Venus is in her 6th house, the house of daily rituals, habits, work, and this is a key house in astrology for digestion and health. So her beauty isn't just performance, it's a process. It comes into form a little bit ritualistically. It's the type of beauty that shows up on the daily, the type of placement where you find self-worth through the mundane tasks you do on a daily basis. And let's not forget that Venus is conjunct her north node. That is huge because it means her life path is tied to this energy of sensuality, stillness, and softness. She's not just famous for being pretty or melancholic. Her mission is to embody pleasure as power. Venus in Taurus wants to show skin. It wants to show up in the natural beauty, the natural form, while Scorpio wants to keep itself hidden. Venus signs show us how we draw people in, but her Scorpio rising wants to control how close people actually get. And this creates a tension not just internally, but externally, and that's why people can't look away. Let's look at the Lust for Life album cover. She's smiling, it's soft, it's floral. It's very Taurus Venus, but when we zoom into the smile, it's a little bit guarded. The eyes are distant, and that is the Scorpio rising energy. We can also look at the chemtrails over the country club visual. Pearls, soft lighting, vintage lace. This is a timeless, luxurious beauty, which is embodying the Taurus Venus. But it's that slightly haunting edge that she incorporates from the Scorpio that makes people want to lean in. Fashion-wise, this shows up everywhere because she loves those delicate fabrics. Lace, satin, vintage slips. But then she pairs them with the more Scorpio energy, structured silhouettes, deep necklines, chokers, veils. This is why she could wear a pastel dress and still look dangerous. Let me know if you guys are starting to understand the Venus and Taurus and Scorpio combination. A bonus tip is I also teach people how to align their body language and their first impressions with these placements. So in her live performances, if you watch back the tape, she uses this. She doesn't dance or explode with movement. She stands, she emotes, she goes at her own pace, she doesn't rush herself. She kind of slows the audience down to her own frequency. And now let's talk about how her North Node in Taurus plays a role in all of this. If you don't know already, and I have a full video about North Nodes in astrology, the North Node is like your soul's mission, your life purpose, your path to fulfillment in this lifetime. And our North Node can also be the hardest thing for us to pursue, but it's also the most fulfilling. If we look at Lana's North Node, where it's placed in her chart, it tells us her destiny is to slow down, enjoy the pleasure of life, and embody her own worth. And because it's in Taurus, that means her South Node is in Scorpio, and her South Node is conjunct her Ascendant, how she first appears to the world, her physical body. So what does that mean? It means that she's spent lifetimes, or even early in this lifetime, usually to the age of 12, surviving through emotional intensity, secrecy, control, having to understand the psychological motivations of other people in order to survive. South Node Scorpio energy can have trust issues. It can be guarded, addicted to transformation, and it knows how to hold power, but it's not so good at maintaining peace. So her North Node is teaching her how to live simplistically and anchor in stability, to choose presence over performance. And the wild part is because it's conjunct her Venus, she is doing these things through beauty. Venus is the planet of beauty, femininity, aesthetics, love, and sensuality. So part of her purpose is to channel her growth through her art. And this is what makes her such a powerful artist, because it's literally written in her life path to do this. And that is what happens when we align with our chart. When we start to do the career, we start to share the art or be a healer aligned with our chart. That is when we are most fulfilled and we see the most success. Taurus North Nodes are also all about coming home to your body, to the senses, to falling in love with your physical world. It's like tending a garden or seeing yourself as the garden to tend to. And there are a few songs that I feel like really embody this Taurus energy. For example, Let the Light In or Sweet. They kind of feel like love letters written in stillness rather than the chase or the push and pull dynamic. Taurus is the energy of self-sufficiency, of knowing your value so deeply so you don't need applause to confirm it. And honestly, that's why I feel like she's had such success. I bet she crossed over into finally believing she was worthy, and that is when the success came. And now she is on her evolutionary path to have love through steadiness, sovereignty, and slowness. And that's what her lyrics teach us too. Like in Cinnamon Girl, when she says, "You don't have to be stronger than me." That's like the Taurus energy removing the armor and asking for presence, asking for someone to ground her. The irony is that through chasing slowness, Lana became timeless. Her music really will stand the test of time. Taurus energy learns that even when the world is moving fast, they themselves don't have to. They can choose softness, stillness, and beauty and let that be enough. There is so much I could touch on in her chart, but the last thing that I want to speak on is her Leo midheaven, because in my branding readings, when I help people who are musicians or they're working on rebranding their business or starting a business, we look at the midheaven. If you're not an artist or anything like that, then the Venus and Rising combination is enough. It is when you are trying to reach the public on a mass level that you tap into your midheaven. Lana Del Rey's midheaven in Leo is like her wearing a crown, and she doesn't need to tell people about it. They just instinctively feel it from her. When you have the highest point in your chart ruled by Leo, you're not just here to be seen by the world. You are here to be seen in history. It's not a placement about clout. Leo is deeply tied to this regalness, royalty, so it's about leaving a legacy behind. She doesn't just want success. She wants a body of work that radiates her sovereignty, that says, I existed and I made beauty out of it. And Lana is doing exactly that because her rise wasn't viral. The song Video Games didn't explode because it was engineered to hit the top charts. It was a song that didn't scream for attention like the ones we hear often on the radio. You can listen to it on your own and decide. I believe that it actually drew people in like a moth to some candlelit VHS filter. So Leo MCs rule performance, creativity, glamour, and Lana uses all of that in her career. She doesn't simply release music, she releases aesthetic timelines. Born to Die gave us that Americana tragedy. Ultraviolence gave us that noir and mysticism. Norman fucking Rockwell gave us this melancholic satire energy. And Ocean Boulevard is more of this like sacred grief. Each era is a performance in itself. Her commitment to storytelling, aesthetic control, and this placement is all square Saturn and Scorpio. So this adds an internal pressure to every single public move she makes. Nothing feels light for her. You might not be able to see it, but she puts the work in. When she's devoted to her craft and she builds it over time, the result is literally a diamond. Because when Saturn is in that first house, pressure is applied to you. There is a weight on your back. And when you use that pressure, you work through it, you create something timeless, and it shapes your legacy. You're not just going viral. When you have a Leo MC, it's about making every appearance matter rather than being everywhere all at once. And Lana Del Rey has done that without ever overexposing herself. She's private, she's mysterious, but when she steps into view, it's like an eclipse. Her performances are like subdued, almost ghost-like, but still no one looks away. And it's wild that she has kept this power going while still resisting the mainstream media. By that I mean she's not constantly on talk shows. She's not flooding your feed. She's not hopping from trend to trend. Her portfolio energy is more like walking through a museum. Built slowly over time, it has an impact and it forces people to slow down and really look at the art and dissect it. Let's talk about that one song, Young and Beautiful, because I feel like that is a great representation of this. It kind of asks people, will you still see me even when the shine fades, even when the hype goes away? You'll notice that her rise to fame, her evolution, shifted when she decided to be vulnerable in front of people, to get weirder, to get softer, to stray away from the radio hits, and instead release things that were more subtle. That is the point of the Leo MC in her chart. It's not to scream louder, it is to connect to your authentic energy and share that unapologetically and welcome others to do the same. She's honestly turned the stage into a confessional, a cathedral, a slow motion dream. So, what makes Lana Del Rey so hypnotic, so haunting, so historically herself? It's not just the voice, it's not just the visuals, it's not just the vulnerability, it's her alignment. You don't have to follow the trends to be timeless. When you align with your Venus, your rising, your North Node, your midheaven, when you stop performing who you think you should be and start anchoring into who you already are, that's when the magnetism happens. It's not because you're working harder, it's because you're working in alignment. I think that Lana Del Rey is an amazing case study to look at because if we're being honest, her impact has gone beyond just her music. She has reshaped how we understand beauty, femininity, and even sadness. In a world that is obsessed with spectacles, she has made the silence magnetic. And her chart isn't special, guys. Her chart is just activated through what she's chosen to do. Each one of us has a Venus, a North Node, a rising, and all of those placements. But very few of us have given ourselves the permission to fully live them out. Lana did give herself that permission. Whether she worked with an astrologer or has just spent a lot of time reflecting on herself and figuring out what works, She has gotten to that point. And if you guys want to get to that point as well, you can book a glow up reading with me. I have already worked with so many of you guys, and I'm so thankful for all the kind words you said to me, for you guys choosing to take the step to actually align with your natural energy, because the results have been incredible. I get chills when I hear back from you guys. It is amazing to look at the pictures you guys send me, to see the transformation, to see you guys shopping for outfits in alignment with your astrology, to see you guys dating in alignment with your Venus sign, for example. So guys, if you want to book a reading and go deeper, I would love to talk to you all. I have a couple spots open for the month of October. I'll link it in the description. And if you guys want to see more videos like this and understand your astrology from a practical lens, then hit subscribe. We don't need more influencers. We need more people who remember they were born to be magnetic and choose to tap into their power. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video.